The working capital cycle for a business is the length of time it takes to convert net working capital into cash. Now, businesses typically try and manage this cycle by selling inventory quickly, collecting revenue from customers quickly, and paying bills slowly to optimize cash flow. And the cash conversion cycle of the business is critical to its liquidity. Let's look at a couple of simple examples. Sasol. Sasol manufactures polymers or specialty plastics. Now, what happens with Sasol is they have to order a lot of the inputs from the Middle East. So they may order a batch of raw materials and pay an amount of 10 million US dollars for that. But they have to pay it in advance. They have to pay it in advance because the supplier in the Middle East says they need to have the money before they release that batch of raw materials. So Sasol pays the 10 million US dollars in advance. The batch of raw materials gets puts onto a ship, and that ship takes 30 days to arrive at a port in Durban. After that, there's a logistics process from the port to Sasol's manufacturing plant in Secunda. That takes 7 days. It takes an additional 13 days to manufacture the polymers. After that, it takes 30 days to sell the polymers or the final product. And after they've been sold, Sasol gives its customers credit facilities of 30 days. Fundamentally, it means it takes 110 days till they get their money. It's a very long cash conversion cycle. Sasol can do it because they've got a significant balance sheet and they've got significant cash resources. Other companies, especially small and medium-sized companies, would be unable to do this. Let's do a contrasting example, Vodacom. If you take a look at prepaid contracts, those are paid in advance. So people buy airtime, people buy data before they've even received the service. So let's say Vodacom received 20 million US dollars in advance. They haven't even rendered the service yet. They only pay their creditors. They only pay their suppliers after 60 days. So Vodacom is in the very favorable situation where they're sitting on money in their bank account even before they've rendered their service. And they only pay their creditors 60 days after the invoice date. Keep that in mind. It's very, very beneficial in terms of Vodacom's cash flow. Now, also keep in mind that from a liquidity perspective, dividend declarations have the potential to compromise the liquidity of a company where they can't be supported by underlying cash flow generated. So under normal circumstances, you can expect the size of the balance sheet to grow in correlation with the growth in revenue. This is a general rule, and you have to apply your mind in terms of how it unfolds for each specific business. And the growth of the company would need to be supported, obviously, by equivalent growth in cash flow generation and in liquidity in order to be able to sustain that growth.